Begin the current Daf Mesechtes Beruchas Daf Zayin. Begin 4 lines down at the top of the Yomid. We'll quickly review Daf Zayin. We had the halacha, the Mishnah that we finished off on the previous Mishnah explaining regarding if someone's karbata. He was saying the Shema, he made a mistake. Then he goes back to where he made a mistake. Let's say he doesn't know where he made the mistake from, so he goes back to the beginning. It's a derai, so you have to make sure you said the words. Now the Gemara said that that's specifically by the first two parashas, Parashas by Yomer, which is Shagar B'Fiv. Then we don't assume that you made the mistake, and then you're not going to have to go back to any point. We assume you said it in the correct way. Then we started with the next Mishnah regarding, continuing on this theme that we were talking about regarding Kavana. Spoke about that the workers could say the Kriyishma on top of a tree, but that's again only for Kriyishma, not for Tefillah. Tefillah you need to really have Kavana, then you got to come down. We said also a Chassan, which is actually, according to Rashi, is the continuation of the next Mishnah, which we're going to start on today's daf, the next parak, that Chassan is put from Kriyishma till Matzah Shabbos, because again, he's Torah to the mitzvah, he can't focus so well when he's saying the Kriyishma, and therefore he's going to be exempt. However, in Gamliel, he did say Kriyishma the first night, as Tais explained, because if you're a great person and you could have Kavana, then you could say it even though you're a Chassan the first night. Again, our custom is we all say it because we don't have Kavana anyway. Now the Gemara brought a brisa that qualified and said actually a worker could even daven on the top of a tree if it's a reish hazayis. An olive tree has a huge network of branches. It's easier to stand over there. So he could say Kriyishma. The Balabai is a self-employed person. You got to come down because you're not obligated to anybody, and to really focus, you really have to come down. The Gemara had a contradiction regarding if Kriyishma requires kavana regarding a worker on a tree, because it seemed like we had a brisa not like our Mishnah. The Gemara ultimately explained that the halacha is there's 2 points. One, even though we said in the Mishnah you could say Kriyishma on top of a tree, but you can't be working at the same time. You could stay on the tree, but you can't be working at the same time. However, the Gemara qualified that too and said, this that we said you can't be working at the same time is the first parasha of Shema. The second parasha, then, like Beis Hillel had previously said in Daf Yud Aleph, V'lech techa v'derech, you could actually be doing your work and you'd be saying Kriyishma at the same time. Again, so 2 components. One is that you could be on the tree but just not working, and this that we're limiting that you can't work is only in the first parasha. And then the Gemara continued with different leniencies regarding the workers, regarding that, look, you have a job, we let you go daven, but you can't daven for the amid, you can't duchen, and there was a contradiction regarding, okay, do you even have to do the bridge version of Shemoneh Esrei? You could do a full Shemoneh Esrei. So the Gemara answered either the one that a full Shemoneh Esrei is Gamliel, the bridge one is Rabbi Shua, or no, they're both Gamliel. But when you're doing Bisudasan, when you're just getting your meal ticket, you're not getting paid any money, then you could go ahead and say the full Shemoneh Esrei. But if you're getting paid, then you have to do the bridge Shemoneh Esrei. Then we went to explain the halacha of the Mishnah that a chassan is pater from Kriyishma, where we know, and we said this on previous daf, v'lech techa v'derech, and you're going on the way, which is when you're doing your own thing, then you're obligated. When you're doing Hashem's thing, like a besula, where you're a tirda de mitzvah, you're preoccupied with the mitzvah, again, those 2 components, then you're part of them saying Kriyishma. Then we continue with the next Mishnah, continuing on the same theme about Gamliel being different than everybody else. Although the halacha was one way, he acted a different way. 2 halachas, one that a mourner is forbidden to bathe, and he did bathe because he held Aninas Laila as Drabanan, and he's an Istinus. And also, you're not allowed to accept condolences for the slave that passed away, and he did because he held that his slave was kosher, was different than everybody else. Then the Mishnah went to qualify back to the previous Mishnah's halacha about a chassan not saying Kriyishma. There was a machlekes if a chassan wants to say Kriyishma, if he could say Kriyishma if he wants to. And then the Gemara also qualified different teachings regarding slaves passing away, and one of them is, again, like we said, you don't console, you just say Hamakim Imalech Esreincha, which anytime a person has a loss, you're supposed to say such a bracha, Hashem should fill the loss that you had. And then our Gemara ended off, which is going to be a large chunk of our daf, is regarding different sages, regarding the words that they would say after they finished davening, different tachanunim, different supplications that they would make. Some ideas we're going to be speaking about in today's daf and Daf Yud Zayin. Again, we're going to continue the whole Amud Aleph. There's going to be different supplications, different phrases, aphorisms, different margula b'pume, different things that the sages normally would say, and kiyav and mifter rabbanon when they would leave, some things that they would say. Then we're going to have looks a little complex over here, a machlekes between the Reb Shimglil and the Rabbanon, one in the halacha of our Mishnah, which we quoted about a chasna if he wants to say Kriyishma the night of his chasna. Then the Gemara is going to say a contradiction regarding, it seems the exact opposite, if you're allowed to do work on Tisha B'Av, if you're allowed to refrain from doing work on Tisha B'Av when everybody else is working, which just seems to be a contradiction in the 2 opinions regarding, are we concerned for arrogance? Like, who do you think you are? Like the famous Navardic story that there's someone's bound, they're saying, Ich bin a garnish. Who are you to say you're a garnish? Like, please, you're a regular guy. So it's going to be a contradiction, and the Gemara is going to have 2 different approaches. Either you got to switch the opinions, or no, we'll actually work it out in Talmudic style to show you why it's actually not a contradiction, and both opinions could be true. And then we're going to start with the third parak Mishamesoi, regarding this, according to Rashi, the same theme of the previous parak around a chassan's pater from Kriyashim because tir to the mitzvah. We're going to talk about also regarding those who are busy with dead people, different types of categories, that they're also going to be exempt from Kriyashim because of their tirda, the mitzvah, not the mitzvah of marrying a woman, but the mitzvah of burying a dead person. So we continue, as we said, beginning Daf Yomi, the Manala, 4 lines down at the top of the Yomid. This shiur is co-sponsored by the Talmud Rebbe Learning Center, Daf Chaim, and Torah Anytime. So we begin the daf. Continue on the theme of the previous daf regarding different tzaddikim and their prayers after davening. Rabbi Sandri Basit Sleisi Amahachi. After they finished davening, he would say like this: should be your will in front of you, Hashem our God. You should place us in an illuminated corner. You shouldn't put us in a dark corner. Our hearts shouldn't be pained. Our eyes should not be darkened. Now, Ikadami, that those who say that actually, the tefillah we just quoted wasn't Rabbi Alexandri. Rav Amnuna Masala. It was Rav Amnuna who said this prayer. But Alexandri, and again, as we said in the Talmud, and especially in Hasidic thought, they're very busy with the names of the Mayrom. A lot of the inspiration comes from the names. It's not just like when you quickly read through the names, like, okay, let's get past the name, let's get to the ideas. Again, in those who really have the deeper mystical understanding of the Gemara, the names are very, very important. So you see the Gemara is like, okay, that wasn't Rav Alexandri, that actually was Rav Amnuna. But Alexandri, when he finished davening, no, he would say like this: Rabbeinu Olam, master of the worlds. It's revealed and known in front of you. Our desire is to do your desire. So who's holding us back? Why don't we do your desire? Don't we want to do what you want? Yes, it's what's called the yeast in the dough. What that means to say is that the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination in our hearts who sours us, that's inside us, getting in the way, and the subjugation of the different countries that we're in exile, which is on the outside. You have internal and external things that stop us from doing your desire. But a really true thing is that a Jew wants to do what God wants to do. So the prayer he said was, may it be the will in front of you. We should be safe from their hands, these things that are holding us back. That we should go back to do the statutes of your desire with full hearts. Now, Rav, after he finished davening, he would say like this: my God, before I was formed, I wasn't worthy. In other words, I wasn't even worthy and significant to be formed in the first place. Now that it was formed, what significance do I have? I'm as if I was never even formed. I'm dust when I'm alive. All the more so when I'm dead. When I'm dead, I'm for sure going to be dust. Behold, I'm in front of you, like a vessel that's full of shame and humiliation. May be the will in front of you, Hashem, my God. I shouldn't sin anymore. And this that I sin in front of you, should be erased with your great mercy. But not through suffering and not through different sicknesses. And says the Gemara, and I'm sure many of you recognize this when we're reading the Gemara, this was the confession that Rav Amnuna Zuti would say on the day of Yom Kippur, and that's actually what we say in Yom Kippur, so that's where you would recognize this prayer from. Continues the Gemara. When he would finish davening, he would say like this, and many of you hopefully will recognize this prayer. Elikai, my God, guard my tongue from evil, and my lips from speaking deceit. From Mekale to those who curse me, nafshi sidim, let my soul be silent. The nafshi, my soul, ka'aforla kol tiyeh, should be like dust for everybody. Which Taisa explains why you want to be like dust is not that it means to say that you're never going to be erased from ever, meaning to say your children will continue going on, just like the pasuk says to Avram, kafara aretz, which is just like the world needs offer because the whole earth is offer. So too, when you're saying I want to be like offer, that my descendants continue going like offer, we will never be erased, and the Jewish people will never be. And he wanted specifically his descendants to continue going on. Open up my heart in your Torah, and in your commandments let my soul run, and save me from any evil encourages, from an evil inclination, from a bad woman. Here you're going to recognize a little bit of a different prayer. We say this in Tfilas Haderech, and obviously this are the kind of tzaras we say in Shemona Esrei after our davening, so for halacha we seem to say like this opinion. From all evil that is coming near in the world, and all those who think bad about me, may be speedily that nullify that their counsel, and disrupt their design. And then he would end off like we do, a pasuk in Tehillim. May you find favor the words of my mouth, and the thoughts of my heart in front of you, Hashem, my rock and my redeemer. So again, that's the prayer that we say of Elokai Nitzar. Now, similar idea, this was regarding what they said after every davening. Rav Sheshes, however, when he fasted, after he finished davening, he would say like this. And this is actually a prayer brought in Shulchan Aruch to say, it's revealed in front of you, when the Beis Hamikdash was still around, so a person sinned, so he would bring a carbon to sacrifice, animal sacrifice. Now, what would they bring on the Mizbeach from the animal? The fats would be burnt on the Mizbeach, the blood would be sprayed on the Mizbeach. And the person would have an atonement, he would be done. Now I sat and I fasted. And now what got diminished? My fat and my blood. May be the will in front of you. Let it be that my fat and my blood that was diminished now that I fasted, as if it was sacrificed on top of your altar, and show me favor, because essentially those are the parts of the animal that we sacrifice. That's what got diminished from me in my fasting. Also related idea, Rabbi Yechonikav Messiah Sifra the Eiv, when he would finish reading the Sefer Eiv. Now the reason why he would say this is because Eiv, when he passed away with a good name. So when he finished the Sefer of Eiv, Amar Hachi, he would say like this: Soif Adam Lamas, the end of a person is for death. V'Soif Behem L'Shchita, the end of an animal is slaughter. V'Hakol Misa Himem, so it turns out everybody's going to die. So Asher Misha Gadol B'Torah V'Amala B'Torah. So praiseworthy is someone that grows up in Torah and his toil is in Torah. So you might recognize this from the songs everyone sings. And he does a good, pleasing for his Creator. B'Gadol B'Shem Tov, and he grew up with a good reputation. And Nifta B'Shem Tov B'Nayil. And he also departed from the world with a good name, which was like Eiv. And therefore he said, at the end of the day, we're all going to end up in the same place. You might as well do it in the good way, learning Torah, and then you end up with a good reputation of a good name. But Allah Mashleim, regarding such a person, Shlomo Melech says in Sefer Kehelis, Tov Shem, a good name, Mishem and Tov is better than good oil. Good oil has a lot of benefits, but a good name is better, and you see the word Shem and Shem is the same shirish. A good name is better than good oil. And the day of death is better than the day of born. Everyone celebrates when someone's born and sad when he dies, but truthfully, if someone who was Gadol B'Torah, was Amal B'Torah, for him it's better the day that he passed away than the day that he was born. Now, continuing on a related theme like we wrote on the board, Margala B'Pum D'Remei. Now, the Gemara is going to quote a lot of different things that was customary, that people would say, he always would say these things. So Meir would always say the following phrase. He would say, Gomer b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha. Learn with all your heart, with all your soul, ladasis derachis. He was actually talking in God's name. He would say like as if God's talking to him. Hashem is like saying, learn with all your heart, with all your soul, ladas es derachai, to know my ways. V'lishkod al dasi terasai, and to be diligent on the doors of my Torah. Nitzay terasai b'libcha, protect my Torah, safeguard it in your heart. V'neged enecha tiyarasi, and opposite your eyes should be my fear. Shemar picha mekal chet, safe. Watch your mouth from any sin. V'tar v'kiddush atzmach, and purify and sanctify yourself. Mekal ashma v'ovin, from any trespass, from any sin. V'ani ayem chabachal makom, and I'm going to be with you in every place. That's what he would say, like as if God's talking to him. Now, the rabbis of Yavne, they would always say the following idea: Ani, me, who I learned Torah, I'm in yeshiva, I'm a barrier, I'm a creature. So too, the chaverei, my friend, my neighbor, the Amaretz, the ignoramus, he's also a barrier, he's also a creature. As Tosha says, what does that mean? Of course, he's a creature. It means to say he has a heart like me to also differentiate between good and bad. He's just like me. Ani malachti be'ir. Look, I work in the city. V'hu malachti b'sada. He works in the field. In other words, my work is easier than his work. I'm in yeshiva, I get it easy, and he's out there working in the fields. Ani mashkim l'malachti. I get him to do my work. V'hu mashkim l'malachti. He gets him to do his work. Just like he doesn't go ahead and try to grab a hold and become great by doing my job, he doesn't come to the yeshiva. I also don't try to make myself great by going to his job out there in the workplace. Now, maybe you're going to say, of course, he's not able to go ahead and try to take my job. If he would try to take my job, sit in the bench in yeshiva, he doesn't have an open heart to be able to increase Torah learning like me. Oh, no. You're right. You're right. I'm increasing the words of Torah and he's diminishing, and you're saying that he wouldn't get reward. So that's what they told themselves. No, that's not the case. Shanina, we learned, as brought in Masechtas Menachos at the end regarding the halachas of karbanis. The teaching is a famous quote, whether one increases or one does less, which is in regards to a mincha. We find Reich Nechayich is mentioned both by an animal sacrifice and by a flower offering. Why? Because it doesn't make a difference. As long as he focuses his heart to heaven, and therefore it's going to be the same thing. I'm not getting any more reward than him. He would get the same amount of reward as me, even though he would be able to learn maybe 100th of how I know to learn. It doesn't make a difference. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. It's about focusing your heart Therefore, they would tell themselves, don't think we're so great because we're learning yeshiva and they're out working. Even though you're right, he doesn't have, so to speak, a cup for learning. It doesn't make a difference. He would get the same amount of reward as us. So to Margala B'Pumei D'Abaya, it was customary in the mouth of Abaya, he would say the following words. A person should always be cunning in regards to fear, meaning you should be very crafty to try to create ways to have fear of your creator. Additionally, he would say the pasuk in Mishlei, Manarach. In other words, these are things you repeat to yourself. These are, people have positive affirmations. People say certain things because they want to build themselves up. They would say these things to keep themselves focused. He would quote the pasuk in Mishlei, Manarach, a gentle reply, Meishav Chema, returns away the wrath. And say like he has to repeat himself, I know this person is getting me upset, but if I reply softly, then I won't get angry. So he would say this pasuk to himself. Umar b'shalom emechavim krevim koladam. A person should always try to make peace with his brothers, with his relatives, with every single person. Even with a Gentile in the marketplace. Why? He should be beloved above, but nechem and desirable down here. And that he should be accepted on all the creatures, on all the people in the world. And actually, the Gemara comments that something we just said, that they said regarding Beruchas Daf, no one ever got to greet him first. Even the Gentile on the street, he quickly, before the gentleman got a chance, good morning, sir, good morning, good morning. He was always there first, and as Abai would tell himself, so that you should be desirable down here and beloved above. Continues the Gemara, it was customary in the mouth of Rabbi that he would say like this. He said, look, Tachlis Chachma, the purpose of wisdom, meaning the primary point that we learn Torah is that it should be tshuva ma'asim tovim. It's not just to learn Torah, it's that it brings a person back to who they are. It's that they should do good acts. Why? Because you could learn Torah. We don't want a person to read Torah, learn Torah. He comes up from yeshiva, he rebels against his father, his mother, and his teacher. He says, no, I'm not interested in helping, or whatever it's not. And someone that's greater than him in wisdom and in numbers, like it says the pasuk in Tehillim. It's not just to learn Torah, it's Reishes, Chachma, the top of wisdom. What's the purpose? Is Yiras Hashem, is fearing God. Seichel Taiva, a good understanding, l'chalei seim, to all those who do it. Now the Gemara makes a diak. It doesn't say for the one who does it, which the Mefarshim explained. It sounds like it's making them, not doing the Torah, it making the person into what's called a shtik Torah. What does that mean? If you do it for its namesake, meaning to say, you're becoming you, that's the purpose of Torah. To tshuva means to come back to who you are. Not for those who do it, not for its namesake. If you're doing it for some ulterior motive, we don't need you to learn Torah. Torah is to make you into a better person. And says the Gemara, moreover, a very strong statement. Whoever does it not for its namesake. In other words, if someone's not learning to fulfill the Torah, he's doing it to provoke, he wants to best everyone else, it would be better that he wasn't created. Now, Rashi points out, and Taisa also does a contradiction from the Gemara later on, Daf Yomi Beis, that the Gemara says that no, what's famous has said, aren't you supposed to learn, okay, I want to be the best guy in this year, I want people to respect me, that because then you end up coming to learn Lishma. Why is the Gemara saying that you better not be created if you're going to learn Shalei Lishma? So that Taisa and Rashi both similarly say that no, there's a difference. If you're doing it so people should respect you, fine. But if you're doing it to provoke other people, you want to just get them, say, oh, do you know that? Oh, you don't know that. Then it's better that you're not created, because the whole point of Torah learning is to become a better person. You need some incentives, ulterior motives. Good, don't worry, learn Shalei Lishma, because ultimately you'll taste the sweetness of Torah, and you end up learning it Lishma. The Gemara continues, it was customary that in the name of Rav, that he would say the following thing. This world is not like the world of come. The world to come, there's no eating, there's no drinking, there's no procreation, there's no having children. There's no business, there's no jealousy, there's no hatred, there's no rivalry. Rather, what is the next world? The righteous are sitting after same they have their crowns on their head. And they benefit, they have delight from the radiance of the divine presence. Like it says in Pasuk in Shemayis by Matan Torah, it says, they gazed at God, and they ate and they drank, which according to our Gemara is trying to say they were satiated from the divine presence as if they ate and they drank. Who needs food and drink? This is amazing. This is so inspirational. That's what the next world is going to be. Now, the Gemara continues, and the Mefarshim explained that it's Rav who's saying this teaching, because that will explain why later on we have another thing from Rav. Gedayla havtacha. It's greater the promise that God promised the women more than men. That's one interpretation, or the betachin that they have. Shlomo says a pasuk in Yeshaya. Nashim, you women, sha'nanis, who are at ease, komena, rise up. Shemana kaili, listen to my voice. Banis Beitchis, the confident daughters. Hazeinim Rasi, says Hashem, listen to my word. Now you see that he used a double terminology, Shanonis and Beitchis, about being confident. Because women are more, they have more betachin, they're more connected. They have a greater level of confidence that God gave them than it is by men. Now, related discussion, Amali Rav said to Rabbi Nosha b'maizachin. So you're right, they have betachin, but with what merit are they going to have the famous Gemara to Olam Haba? Because we know that the world to come is only Torah. The Tchias HaMeisim is the Tal Shel Torah. Women don't learn Torah. What's the merit they have for the world to come? So it says, so he answered him back, by bringing their children to the Beis HaKnesses, because in Talmudic times, the little school children would learn their teaching in the shul, and by sending their husbands to the Beis HaMedrash, which that's where they learn Mishnayos and Gemara, and and they wait for their husbands till they come back from the Beis HaMedrash, means to say that they let their husbands go to learn Torah. In Talmudic times it was a different city, but every single woman, every single man over here has somebody in his life, right? Everyone has someone that's waiting for them, that's their reward that they get. They're an equal partner in their husband's reward, or the children that are going to learn Torah, that's the women's merit. Now, says the Gemara, going back to what we said before regarding different sayings that were said, so kiave mifteri rabbanon. This is another thing that they would say when the rabbanon, when these Talmudic scholars would leave one from the other. So mibei Rabami, when they would take leave from the yeshiva Rabami, so they would take permission from his friend to go back to his house and to his country. Some say no, mibei Reb Chanina, and the yeshiva Reb Chanina, Amri lehachi, they would say like this: your world you should see in your lifetime. It's to say you should find all your needs that you need, you should get. Your end should be for the life of the world to come. And your hope should be last for many generations. Your heart should ponder understanding. Your mouth should speak wisdom. Means to say, these were all words of blessings that were said. And your tongue should bring forth song. Your eyelids should look straight before you, means to say like a terminology of yesher, straightforward, that you should understand what you learn, which is what's required. If you want to know halacha, you have to have a straight, a yasher cup. You can be a lamdin, but that's not going to work so well for halacha. Halacha, you got to be like, you have to have it straight, so your eyelid should look right in front of you. And your eyes should be lit up from the light of Torah. And your faith should shine like the brightness of the sky. Your lips should utter knowledge. The kilyasecha taleizna meisharim, and your kidneys should rejoice in righteousness. Ufamecha yerutzu l'shmaya dibri atagemin, and your feet should run to hear the words of the Ancient of Days, referring to the words of God, to the words of Torah. That's what they would say by that yeshiva. When they would leave in the yeshiva of Chizda, some say Meber B'Shmo Banachmeni, or from the yeshiva B'Shmo Banachmeni, they would say like this. It says the pasuk in Tehillim, and they would interpret the pasuk and say this as a blessing. Alufeinu misubalim agomer. Our leaders who are laden, etc., and we're saying etc. because we're going to interpret the rest of the pasuk as we go along. So alufeinu misubalim, when they would say our leaders who are laden, so it's actually machlekes Rabbi Shmuel. Some say it's actually Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Lazar. We have a machlekes. Who's the machlekes? Chadam one says alufeinu. What does it mean? Our leaders. It means our leaders by Torah and learn Torah. Umisubalim, and they're laden but mitzvahs, with their yoke of mitzvahs. Chadam some says no. Alufeinu, our leaders, means by Torah but mitzvahs. U'misabalim laden means biyasurim, that they're laden with afflictions. Now, as we continue to Beis, the Gemara continues interpreting the pasuk, which they would give the blessings to their friends when they would leave from yeshiva. Ein peretz, there shouldn't be a breach. Means to say shaloi teisi osenu, that our company should not be kisiyasa shel David, like the company of David HaMelech. Why? Because in his yeshiva, shiyatzim min Achitofel, the wicked Achitofel came out. Now, the reason why Achitofel is called peretz is because he caused a breach in Malchus Beis David because he rebelled against David. And when the pasuk says ve'ein yoitzis, we shouldn't have anyone going out. It means we shouldn't have our company like the company of Shaul HaMelech, that in his yeshiva, shiyatzim min Doeg Adami. Doeg Adami came out, which Doeg Adami was called yoitzis because he went out to what's called tar b'sra. He went out to depravity, to bad ways, as the Gemara says nachelik. That's why when his name was spelled Doeg with Aleph and once with Vav Yud Yud, is because Hashem was first Doeg, worried about him, and then Doeg, when he went off, Vai, oy Nebuch, we lost such a good Talmid Chacham. He went off, he went out from the way. That's why we're saying we shouldn't have in our yeshiva either like a Doeg Adami. When the pasuk says Ve'in Savacha, there shouldn't be an outcry. What does that mean? Our company should not be like that of the yeshiva of Elisha. That out of him came Gehazi. Gehazi went and did something wrong regarding taking some gifts, and because of that it became Mitzayra. Now by Mitzayra it says Tamei Tamei Yikri. He's supposed to call out that he's Tamei, and that's savacha. We shouldn't have anyone crying out. That's what the prayers they would say that we shouldn't have. Now they would conclude the pasuk. And Beruchas shouldn't go out in our streets. What is that referring to? We shouldn't have either a son or a student. Which literally means to say that he shouldn't burn his dish in public. What it means to say he shouldn't be out there on the street. And actually, as some girsayos have it, like Yesha HaNaitzri, we shouldn't have such a student that goes out and just does inappropriate things in the street. That was the prayer they would say when they would take leave from Yeshiva, when they would leave Yeshiva going back to their country, to their home. Now, related that we just brought before, we weren't sure is it a machlekes Rabbi Shmuel or is it a machlekes between Rabbi Lazar and another opinion. So now the Gemara says another teaching, which is the same thing. We're not sure is it machlekes Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Lazar or Rabbi Shmuel. The pasuk says in Yeshaya, Shimu Elai Abir Lev. Listen to me, the fierce-hearted, the tight-hearted, Harachaykim Mitzdaka, who are far from righteousness. So what does this mean? So when machlekes Rabbi Shmuel, or and that's why we bring it in, the same machlekes. What's the machlekes? Some say machlekes Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Lazar. Chadam, and one says what this pasuk is saying is Kalam Kulay Nizin Bitzdaka. The whole world, they get sustained in the righteousness of God, and not in their own merits. But Vehem, these Abir Lev, these fierce-hearted, Nizayin Bizraya, they get fed from their own strength, in their own merit. So this pasuk is talking about righteous people, and it's calling them they're rechaykim, they're far from tzedakah, meaning they're far from Hashem's tzedakah. They don't need it because they're fierce-hearted, they're so righteous, they don't need to come onto God's charity. And the other one says even more. Says you're right. The whole world is sustained in their merit, but they themselves in their own merit. They're not even sustained, meaning they don't even need what they have. They actually have difficulty getting parnasa, but actually the whole world is sustained on them. Because Rabbi Yehuda Merav, like Rabbi Yehuda Merav says, it says every single day, a heavenly voice comes out from Har Chayer, which is one of the names of Har Sinai. But Merson says, and this is a famous song. Many songs probably, I don't know. The whole world is sustained because of my son Chanina. My son Chanina, it's enough for him just with a kav, which is a certain measurement of carobs, Erev Shabbos, Erev Shabbos, from Friday to Friday, which is that, again, these are both interpretations of how Rechaykim Mitzdaka. We're talking about how the righteous, they don't need God's tzedakah, either because they get whatever they need, or because they actually don't get it, but the whole world is sustained in their merit, but they're Rechaykim from God's charity. Now, but says the Gemara, please Rabbi Yehuda, but this interpretation of a Abir Lev that is going on the tzaddikim actually disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda, who says that no, Abir Lev, the fierce-hearted, is not because they're so great, is actually a derogatory terminology. It's actually talking about wicked people. Then Rabbi Yehuda says, Man Abir Lev, who's the fierce-hearted, meaning they're so cold and they're tight-hearted that they're not going to be affected, is Guvay Tubshai, is these foolish Goyvam, which that's the name of one of the types of peoples that were in Bavel, as the Gemara says in Kedushin, the Ayin Mabeis, that says that they're from the Nesinim. Rav Yosef, he says, Teda, you should know that they're wicked. Why they're wicked? And therefore they're the Abir Lev, and they're far from Hashem Tzedakah. They're very far from in a wicked way. They never had any one of their people convert to Judaism. Obviously, they're very cold. They don't get the inspiration of the world. Therefore, we see that they're considered Tipshim, and also they're Abir Lev. Now, similarly, Rav Ashi, he says, B'nai Mas Machasia, the residents of this place, Mas Machasia, Abir Lev, they're also Abir Lev, fierce-hearted, meaning they're wicked. They're so cold, they don't get nispoil. The Kachazi Yikudai Raisa Trezim Bishata. They see the beauty of the Torah two times in the year. Meaning all the Jewish people would gather in the month of Adar to hear the halachas of Pesach from the Medrash of Rav Ashi in Mas Machasia. And in El, they would come to hear the halachas of Sukkot, which as Tais actually points out, that when the whole Jewish people would gather, a pillar of fire would come down from heaven, that by this Kala, this Drasha and El, and by that of Adar. And even though they saw the splendor, they saw the glory, the miracles that happened, still they didn't convert. They're the Abir Lev, they're Rechaykim Tzedakah, they're very cold and callous, and therefore they're considered wicked people. Going back to the halacha, the Mishnah, concluding this parak, the Mishnah had said a machlekes. Chasna meritz likris b'chulu. Chasna, we said in the Mishnah before that, a chasna the first night, he steered to the mitzvah, he doesn't have to say Kriyishma all the way up until Matzah Shabbos. But our Mishnah said if he wants to say Kriyishma, we have a machlekes. We have one opinion that the Tanna Kama says, okay, if he wants to, he could. Rabbi Shmuel says, no, even if he wants to, as he said, Lo kol haroitz litzos Hashem yito. No, unless he's presumed to be a sage and a pious person known to everybody else, it's considered arrogance. You're showing that you could focus. No, you're not allowed to say Kriyishma even if you want to. So says the Gemara the following question. Lememra, the Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Chayish Lihura. So the Gemara is explaining the machlekes, and in that is going to ask a question. Are you telling me Rabbi Gamliel is concerned for arrogance? Because he says, well, you can't say Kriyishma. Don't make yourself to be a great tzaddik. Rabban are not concerned for arrogance. You want to say Kriyishma? Say Kriyishma. The problem is, we learned exactly the opposite in both of their opinions. It's not like learn the Mishnah Masechet Pesach. Mishnah says, Malkum shenogu lasa malacha b'Tisha B'Av, a place where the custom is that people work on Tisha B'Av. So says the Tanna Kama, so then Eisen, then they do. Malkum shenogu shaloi lasa, if the custom is not to do work, then Eisen, then you don't do. Now, v'chol malkum, in every single place, however, even the place that they do work, Talmidei Chacham b'teil. Only the Talmudic scholars, they don't do work. But everybody else, look, if everybody does work, you do work. That's the Tanna Kama. He says, no, la'olam, and this is actually the halacha, a person should make himself like a Talmudic scholar. He should not work. Even if it's a place that people work, you should try to be from those higher levels that you don't do work. Says the Gemara, we have a contradiction. Kasha Rabbanan Rabbanan, Kasha Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg. Why is there a contradiction? In our Mishnah regarding Kriyishma, what we say, Tanna Kama the Chachamim, they said, oh, we're not concerned for arrogance. You could say Kriyishma even though you're chassan, not chassan. Rabbi Shloimy was concerned for arrogance. No, you can't say Kriyishma. Who do you think you are? Then you have by Tisha B'Av, we have the exact opposite. Rabbi Shloimy is the one that's saying, okay, no problem. You can make yourself like a Talmid Chacham. He's not concerned for arrogance. And the Chacham, they say, no. You only Talmid Chacham. You're not Talmid Chacham, you work. If everyone's working, you work. So that's a contradiction in both their opinions. So Rabbi Yechanan, answer number one, he says, you're right, Machlefas Hashita. You have to turn around the opinions. And that is, you're right, you have to switch around one of those Mishnayos. One of them is obviously wrong. Grais, a mistake. Switch it around. Rav Shisha B'Ri Davidiyam, he says, no. Lo'ilam like Tachov, you don't have to switch it around. And I'll explain to you why it's not a contradiction. They're both their opinions. Draban like Kasha, why isn't the contradiction as follows? By Kriyishma, Kim and the Kuliyam Kokaru, by Kriyishma, everyone there by the Chasna, everyone's saying Kriyishma. The Yunami Kari, so it's also saying Kriyishma. Like Mechzikir, it doesn't appear like arrogance. You're going to pick him out and say, where's the Chasna? Oh, he's saying Kriyishma? Who does he think he is? No, everybody's stopping. Everyone's saying Kriyishma. Doesn't appear to be arrogant because he looks like just like everybody else. But Hach over here by Tisha B'Av, Kivin the Kulam Av Melacha, everybody's going to work. There's one guy left in shul. Yankel is sitting there in shul. V'yiloi covered. He's not working. Yankel, why aren't you going to work? Next shiur looks like arrogance. Who do you think you are? You're the only guy not going to work today. Everyone's working. You're not. That looks like arrogance. If you're Talmid Chacham, fine. People can understand that you could really engage in the avelis of the Churban of the Beis Hamikdash. But if not, it looks like arrogance. Therefore, it's not a contradiction in the Pinei Rabban. Now, so to Rabbi Shloimy Kasha, so it's not a contradiction. Why? Because he uses a different logic to explain his opinions. Hasam over there, in our Mishnah, by the Chasam by Kriyishma, the Kavanah Tal Yimilsa. What does that mitzvah of saying Kriyishma depend on? It depends on focus. You could think clearly. Do you realize what you're doing when you're saying that? Is someone here last night between Mincha and Ma'ariv spoke and he said when you wear yarmulke, you realize the significance of that. Like you're showing the world and yourself that God is the creator of the world. Everything is at His dictates. It's not just saying the words. You really got to focus. And we could testify that you can't focus. That you're chassan. You're getting married. You're telling me that you could have those types of focus right now? It's arrogance if you think you could say that you can focus right now. So therefore, he held in our Mishnah, you cannot say Kriyishma. Over here, regarding doing work on Tisha B'Av, Haraya, he holds that whoever sees that he's not doing work, he's not going to discern and understand that, oh, it's Tisha B'Av and that's why he's not working. No, he's going to say, Malacha Udein, he just doesn't have a job. Puk chazi, go out and see, come batlani, ikam famous phrase. There's a lot of idle people in the marketplace, even on work days. They're just sitting around. Many places that people just sit around, they're not working, right? It's not such a grace of you. It's just the guy's is a batlin, like they say. So therefore he holds it's not considered as a yura. So the second answer the Gemara says it's not considered contradiction in either opinions because they have different logic that they're saying regarding what do we consider as yura. Which I'll return to the second parak of Brachas, parak which again spoke about the halachas of Kriyishma and its brachas. And Mazel Tov that we finished the second parak, we should have close to continue and finish many more parakim in Shas. And we continue with the third parak Misha Mesa, which continues, according to Rashi's interpretation, the same theme of the previous parak regarding if you have a tir to the mitzvah, if you're preoccupied with a mitzvah, then you're going to be potter from saying Kriyishma, which that goes into a sad, not like a chassid Kriyishma, but Misha Mesa. If someone has his dead person, his close relative, one of the 7 relatives, that's mutalafana, that's placed in front of him. He has the dead person there, someone passed away. He's considered what's known in halacha as a oinen. So then the halacha is, and this is actually the halacha, patim Kriyishma is exempt from saying Kriyishma, minat tefillah from davening, and minat tefillin from putting out tefillin. When we call mitzvahs amos b'Torah, an oinen doesn't do any of the mitzvahs in the Torah. Now, as we said, because he's preoccupied with the thought about burying his relative. So he's similar to the previous mission, the previous parak that we just finished off saying, similar to a chassan who's pater because of tir to the mitzvah. Now, that's not just the oinen. There are other people involved in the burial of the person that are also exempt from the mitzvah of Kriyishma. You have noisi hamita, you have those who are carrying the coffin, what's called the pallbearers, bechilufein, and you have those who replace them, because the custom is that people want to carry. So they keep on switching off who's going to carry the dead person. So those who replace them, bechilufei chilufein, and those who replace the replacers, so they're all included in what we're about to tell you. So you have also two categories in those who are carrying the mita. You have eshel lefnei hamita, you have those in front of the coffin, means to say that are still busy with carrying it when it's going to come to them, they're waiting for their opportunity. You have those ve'eshel achar mita, you have those behind the coffin, you have those who already carried the coffin. Now, so it says the Mishnah as follows, the halacha is like this. Eshel lefnei hamita, those that are in front of the coffin, if they still need to carry it, meaning if there's a tzarech behem, if there's a need for them, so then patur, so then they're exempt. They're oisig in this mitzvah, they're tarred in this mitzvah of carrying the dead person, so they're part of the mitzvah of krishma. Now, the eshel achar mita, but those that are behind the bed, according to Rashi's interpretation, the Mishnah is saying even if tzarech behem, even if quote unquote there's a need for them, then chayav, and they're obligated in saying krishma because you already fulfilled quote unquote your obligation of the dead person. You already did your carrying. So even if, and this is places the difficulty with Rashi, is how can you say you have a need for them? But that's Rashi's interpretation. Even if there's quote unquote a need for them, but you already did your obligation, so you're chayiv in kriyishma. Now, but says the Mishnah, but both of them are going to be exempt from davening Shemona Esrei because that's not biblical. Although Rashi brings from his teachers that the interpretation was because Shemona Esrei have more time. Rashi says that wouldn't be the wording of pater. Pater sounds like you're done. You don't have an obligation at all. That would be because, yes, it's rabbinic. So since it's rabbinic, so there's no obligation for them to daven, even those who already did it, if there's still a need for them. Now, continues the Mishnah, Kabras Ames B'chazru. Let's say they already did the burial, they're already on their way back from the cemetery. Now, if they could start and finish their Kriya Shema, until they don't get to the row. The row is that they console the mourner when they surround him with rows all around when they're coming back from the grave. So they pass by and they menachem the mourner. If they could start and finish Kriya Shema before they get there, yeschil, then they should start. But if you're not going to be able to start and finish, lo yeschil, they shouldn't start. Again, they're exempted from Kriya Shema because of their mitzvah that they're busy with. Now, moreover, ha'im de b'shur ha'panimim, those are on the inner row. So Peturim, they're exempt because they're needed to console. Those on the outside, which the Gemara is actually going to qualify that those who cannot see into the inner row, then they're chayavim, they're going to be obligated. Now, these next words are taken out because actually it's actually part of the next mission. The nashim avadim ketanim, women, slaves, and minors, Peturim, kriyishma, and the tefillin, they're exempt from kriyishma and from tefillin. V'chayavim b'tefillah b'mezuzah b'berachas hamazon, they're obligated in tefillah, mezuzah, and berachas hamazon. So some of the ideas we spoke about in today's daf on Beruchas Daf Yudzayin was a continuation of different Talmidei Chachamim, of their supplications they would say after tefillah, after davening. Some of the well-known phrases are, our desire is to do your desire. So who's stopping us? We want, you want, so why is this happening? Is Sa'ar Shab'isa is the yeast of the dough, means to say that's what's inside of us that's getting in the way. And B'Shiba Malchis is the subjugation that we have in all the exiles that we're going, but so therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu let them stop stopping us, and then therefore automatically our heart will be drawn to you. Then also we quoted the Vida in Yom Kippurim, but that one of the Talmidei Chacham would say after every time he would say by the Vidya Kippurim, besides one that would always say after his davening, which is Elakai Achal Netate Nechadai. Before I was from not worthy, now for sure I'm not worthy, and therefore Hashem, please forgive me, but not through Yisur Mechalim Ra. Then we have our tefillah we say after davening, which is how we rule our minig Elakai Netzar L'Shen Meira, save my tongue from bad, and so on and so forth that we say, and then we end off with the pasuk as is quoted in the Gemara, Yilaratzin Emrifi, the Hag Yilib L'Fenach Hashem Tzur B'Gali. We also quoted that after a tinus, certain prayers that was said that just like my fat and my blood was diminished, it should be like a carbon of the fat and blood, and a person should say these types of prayers because when you do an act, you want to follow it up with phrases. You want to say the words and talk to God and always have a communication with God. Also, even after finishing a Sefer and Eiv, Rabbi Yechon would say something. Then the Gemara quoted Margele Bepumes, different things that people would customarily say, and people commonly say things. Hua Ya'ima we find those things that he used to say. Margele Bepume, one of the things is, a well-known thing is that this world is not like the world to come. This world we eat, we drink, we have children, we have business, we have hatred, we have jealousy. In the next world, none of that is there. Tzadikim Yishim Atrasim B'Rashem, they have the crown on their head, which the crown signifies something greater than yourself. In the next world, you're going to be mind-blowing. It's things that you would never be able to imagine what you're getting there. That's what a crown is. A crown is above the head. It's above what we could even comprehend. Nashim Maizach, in a famous teaching, how do women merit? They don't learn Torah. Even if they learn Torah, they're not obligated in learning of Torah. So the Gemara says that because by taking their children to yeshiva, by letting their husbands go to learn, and by waiting for them, that's their merit for the world to come. That's their ticket. So too, different things, Kevin Mifter, Rabbanu, and the rabbis would leave from each other. They would give these long blessings that that the people should continue going in their ways of Torah, and that they should have success in their learning and in their colleagues and their students. They shouldn't have bad students in their yeshivas. And then another famous phrase, and for him it's enough but kav cheruvim. The tzaddikim, the whole world sustains on them, but they have lives of suffering. That was one interpretation. Other interpretation was that Birulave is, no, they're a chayk mitzvah because they don't need God's charity. They're able to be self-sustained. And then actually another interpretation was that a Birulave is actually wicked people, that they don't get influenced, they don't get inspired. They see this great inspiration of the Jewish people twice a year and they don't get inspired. That's considered a Birulave. Then the Gemara had a machlekes. We quoted from the Mishnah machlekes. Chasna writes likris kriyishma. Chasna wants to say kriyishma. What's the halacha? Shimon says you can't, even if you want to. Now, you can't just color right Salital Hashem Yitel. Your Rabbanan says you could say Krishma. Now, the obvious inference the Gemara was saying was, so Rabbi is chayish liyur, is concerned for arrogance. You think you could say Krishma? You're chasna and not chasna. You tell me you're that confident? Don't say Krishma. We're concerned that you're going to be considered arrogant. Chacham say you could say, obviously, because they're not concerned for arrogance. Says the Gemara, there's a contradiction in both of their opinions. There's a halacha regarding if a person doesn't want to do work on Tisha B'Av. Everybody's going to work. He doesn't want to go. Rabbi Shloimy says, okay, you could be like a Talmid Chacham. Chacham said you can't. No, if everyone's going to work, you go to work. So it comes out, Rabbi Shloimy holds that you're not concerned for arrogance. You don't have to go. You could be the one guy sitting in shul the whole day. Everyone's going to work. You could stay. So obviously you're not concerned for arrogance. Or who do you think you are that you're like that? And the Rabbanan said you can't because they're concerned for Yura. So that's a contradiction in their opinions in the previous halacha of our Mishnah of Chassan that wants to say Kriyishma. So answer number one was, you're right, Mukhlev Sashita. You got to switch around the opinions. Someone made a mistake over here. It's an error in the attribution of the opinions. No. Answer number two said, no, I could tell you why it's not a contradiction in both their opinions, in if we're chayish for you or not, because it depends for what, and actually they have inverted opinions in these two halachas. Rabbi Shimon held for Kriya Shema, we're concerned for Yura. If you're going to be saying Kriya Shema at your wedding, it looks like arrogance. Why? Anat Sahadi, we testify, you can't focus. You're so nervous. You're telling me you could focus. You're arrogant. You're a haughty person. You think you have to show everybody you're so great. You're not. You can't say Kriya Shema. Now, regarding not doing work on Tisha B'Av, he says we're not concerned for arrogance. You're the only guy sitting in shul that day? All right, the one who says he's going to say he doesn't have any work to do. He's unemployed, so that's why he's sitting around. It doesn't look like arrogance. No one's going to say because he thinks he's so great that he's mourning over the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. So that resolves Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Regarding the Rabbanan, the same thing. Regarding Kriya Shema, that they said that, okay, you could say Kriya Shema at the night of wedding if you want to, because it doesn't look like arrogance, because everybody's saying Kriya Shema. So like you're just like everybody else. No one's going to point out and say, wait a second, because you're not noticing it. Now, whereas regarding not doing work on Tisha B'Av, if he's the only guy not going to work, and everybody's going to work, so everyone's going to say, why is he not going to work? Oh, he thinks he's so great? So again, different logic than Shimon Gamliel. He says, no, unemployed. He says, no, but it's going to stay in that over there, and therefore they say, therefore they're concerned for arrogance. That's what we finished Perek HaKarim, and then we started Perek Gimel, Perek Mishamesei, which, according to Raz's interpretation, was a continuation of the previous Perek from the exemptions of Kriya Shema regarding a tir de mitzvah, just like we find by a chassan. And then our Mishnah, in a different vein, also a tir de mitzvah of being involved with a dead person. We have ha'oinen, the one whose relative passed away and the burial didn't happen yet, which according to Rashi is a tir de mitzvah. According to Tais, is actually different. Two interpretations of Yerushalmi, either because it's not respectful. If you're going to be doing other things, it's not respectful of the person who died. You just focus on the dead person. It's not respectful. Or because, no, you have to be busy with burying the dead person. It's not just a tir de mitzvah, you're preoccupied in your headspace like the way Rashi says it. No, it's because you got to be busy taking care of the dead person. But either way, that's the exemption of oinen. Those who carry the coffin are also exempt because they're busy with the mitzvah. Then those who bury, which also includes those who are in the mishur, those who are standing in the row, these are all mitzvahs being involved with the burial of the dead person, giving honor and dignity, which again, the Gemara will qualify. It's those even who see the inside of the row, that they're there to menachem, they're all going to be exempt from saying Kriya Shema because they're Eisik b'mitzvah and therefore they're part of mitzvah.